coordinating such a great event. I'm very honored to be here to share about my research work about interface engineering for highly efficient and stable perovskite solar cells. Along the rapid industrialization of the past century, incessant energy consumption and endless damage to the environment have aroused great attention for seeking clean and renewable energies. To meet the net zero carbon dioxide emission by 2050, the renewables need to expand significantly to meet the share about 60% by 2030. The renewables, including the solar PV, wind, hydro, and others, are at the center of the transition to a less carbon intensive and sustainable energy system. Solar PV is already one of the most competitive in the market today, but the average annual capacity addition still needs to be double in the next 5 years in the forecast. However, the cost of renewable technologies is increasing. From Q4 2021 to Q1 2022, the P25 index for wind has expanded about 12.4%, and the P25 index for solar rose about 4.1%, especially due to the COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war. The supply chain of the bulk commodities has severely affected. As the raw material for silicon-based solar cells, the price of polysilicon was even tripled in the last year. So now the question is, do we have better choice for the solar panels? Perovskite is one of the most favorable competitors. This mineral was first discovered by Gustav Ross in 1839 and is named after the Russian mineralogist Levi Perovsky. It has a crystal structure with a chemical formula about AbX3. And until 2009, Japanese scientist Miyazaki applied the organometal halide perovskite as the absorption layer and fabricated the first perovskite solar cells with a power conversion efficiency about 3.8%. After that, a lot of researchers were attracted and devoted into this area, brought a very bright future for the commercialization of perovskite solar cells. The efficiency of perovskite solar cells has soared over 25% in about 10 years, which is very fast compared to the conventional solar cells. Besides the high efficiency, the low cost, tunable bandgap with competition engineering, flexibility, semi-transparency, and the lightweight are all the advantages of this technology. Usually, we treat perovskite as typical semiconductors with valence band and conduction band, and distinguish between the two contacts of the electrodes. The input sunlight has a broad spectrum with broad energy. Part of the light within the absorption of the perovskite will be absorbed, and part of the light below the bandgap will be transmitted and causing the below bandgap loss. And part of light above the bandgap of the perovskite was lost through thermalization and causing the thermalization loss. We usually evaluate the performance of the solar through the J-V curve characterization, and the PCE is composed by the VOC, JC, and fill factor. Usually, upon the light illumination, the photogenerated carriers like the electron and holes will diffuse and injected to the electron transporting layer and hole transporting layers. However, the impurities and intrinsic defects in the grain boundaries and interface will cause a lot of recombinations, like the defects induced tribasistic non-radiative recombination and the interface-induced recombination. So the total energy loss is composed by delta V1 above bandgap loss, delta V2 below bandgap loss, and delta V3 non-radiative recombination loss. Because delta V1 and delta V2 are unavoidable, so it's necessary to eliminating the non-radiative recombination to achieve a maximum VOC and PCE for the solar cells. The defects we stated here in perovskite containing the vexes, interstitials, and antisides, which are formed during the film fabrication with different formation energy. These defects are usually positively charged or negatively charged, and can be passivated with chemical formulas like Lewis base and Lewis acid that can act like electrodonor or acceptors to passivate them. Especially for the interface between the back of the perovskite film and the contacts, the trap densities were up to 5 orders than the back of the film. So it's necessary to address the interface-induced recombination to achieve the highly efficient and stable perovskite solar cells. One of my research is to rationally design the bifunctional molecular pyperazinium iodide, which we call it PI, that containing both amine and ammonium groups in the 6-member ring, behaving as electrodonor and acceptor at the same time to interact with the surface terminations. Compared with PDI, which has 2 ammonium groups in the molecular, PI has a stronger dipole moment. And through the single crystal analysis, we found both PI and PDI can form a low-dimensional structure with lead iodide, which is one of the main composition of perovskite. And there is a lead nitrogen bond was found in the PI in the interaction between PI and lead iodide. Later, such interaction was further proved by the NMR experiment that the interaction between PI and lead iodide surpassed the Pauling exchange between PI and solvents, give a well-organized signal of the PI. Because the PI can interact with both positively charged and negatively charged defects, the surface residual strain was significantly decreased after the PI treatment. With the PI treatment, the surface termination was changed, so it gave a more N-type character of the perovskite film. We are enabling a band bending between the perovskite and the electron transporting layer for facilitating the efficient charge transfer. The significantly increased PL intensity and prolonged PL lifetime of both PI and PDI treated film shows that the effective of defect expansion, defects such as the lead clusters, halide vanixes, are both passivated, and they are the origin of the non-radiative recombination. Confocal PL mapping of the PI-treated perovskite film shows that the overall intensity was greatly improved, and the intensity distribution was more homogeneous compared to the reference and the PDI-treated perovskite film, which demonstrate the benefit of multifunctional passivators here. And we fabricate PI-structured perovskite solar cells to evaluate the device performance with PI treatment. The champion PCE with PI treatment can achieve to over 23%, which is the higher efficiency of the PI-structured perovskite solar cells at the time. And the non-radiative recombination loss, delta V sun, was limited to 60.0 volts, and the total energy loss was limited to 0.33 volts, which is very comparable to that of the conventional solar cells. Besides the efficiency, the stability choked the throat of the commercialization of perovskite solar cells. For high-performance perovskite solar cells, which are usually fabricated required annealing at about 100 degrees Celsius, the expansion thermal coefficient with perovskite and the substrate are different. Because of that, with the substrate adhesion, the perovskite film forming at high temperature will contract vertically. And causing the strong G0 strain in the film. To alleviate such strain, the ion migration would be accelerated and induce the severe stability issue. In mixed perovskite, the composition of the film is variously, and the formation energy of different phase will causing the inhomogeneous composition distribution in the film. The inhomogeneous composition distribution will induce the strain distribution also inhomogeneously in the film, where the top surface, like the 50 nanometers below the surface of the film, bears the largest strain in the film, and the strain gradually decreases from the top surface to the core of the film. One of the research said they modified the annealing treatment by flipping over the thin film and to provide an inverse temperature gradient to the subsurface, and that will result in a greatly decreased surface strain and improve the film stability. Inspired by this, we put forward a strategy by applying the plasmonic local heating effect to provide an additional heat for in situ strain relaxation. A lot of the plasmonic effects have been well studied, but it's the first try to apply the local heating effects in photovoltaic. But to solely utilize the local heating, we have to carefully roll out all the above-mentioned plasmonic effects. So we designed our experiment from the following considerations. First, we close the nanorods with thick, non-conductive silicon oxide shears to prevent electrical, chemical, and electromagnetic contact with the perovskite. The average diameter of the nanorods is about 8.2 nanometers, and the length of the nanorods is about 30 nanometers. The thickness of the non-conductive silicon oxide is 15 nanometers, which is thick enough to roll out all the above-mentioned plasmonic effects in our device. So, second, we synthesizing the nanorods cores with a large aspect ratio, such that their dominating plasma response is near the infrared region, well beyond the absorption of our perovskite used in this study. The confocal optical and heat transfer simulation discovered that the whole system with the incorporation of plasmonic can reach the thermal equilibrium within 30 minutes and give a temperature degree about 3.8 Kelvin. And third, we dispersing the nanoparticles through the anti-solvent dripping during film formation that produce a gradient doping density of the nanoparticles. This is very important because we have said that the strain distribution is inhomogeneous in the perovskite film, that the upper surface showing the largest strain. So through the gradient distribution of the nanorods, the anti-solvent can help the upper surface of the film showing the largest number of the nanoparticles. And the distribution of the nanoparticles is in accordance with the strain distribution. So, and the last, we have to control the doping density of the nanoparticles such that the surface morphology and crystal structure remain unchanged, that we can carefully give the conclusion that all the improved performance would come from the local heating effects. So we evaluate the enhanced film stability by aging the perovskite samples under continuous illumination. For reference perovskite film, that after a long time aging, some small plate-like features with bright contrast was appeared, which is the lead iodide. And this results in accordance with the peak intensity increase about the lead iodide in the XRD measurements. Also, some yellow phase PBI3 was appeared because of the degradation. On contrast, the perovskite films with incorporation of nanoparticles, surface morphology was almost remain unchanged. And to discover the nanoscale evidence of the enhanced stability, we applied nano-FTIR measurement to characterize the film surface. The nano-FTIR was characterized by reasoning the asymmetric carbon nitride stretching bond of the aluminum in perovskite. The larger intensity of the fake cations, the better the film stability is. We calculate the average intensity of the film and show that after aging, the reference film was decreased to 45% intensity, and the film incorporated with plasmonic can remain 75%, which give a directly nanoscale evidence that the film was significantly improved after the plasmonic incorporation. At last, we evaluate the device performance after incorporation of plasmonic, and the intrinsic stability of the non-encapsulated device was recorded through the ISOS protocols. We age the device under thermal heating and SPO tracking with bias and the day-night cycling, which to mimic the practical operation conditions, which has all shown the highly enhanced the film device stability. And the plasmonic incorporated device also can achieve the PCE over 23%, which is the highest PCE of the plasmonic incorporated perovskite solar cells. And to review the underlying mechanism of this, we conduct the quantitative strain analysis of the different strain in films. The depth-dependent strain analysis were conducted and showing that both of the film, the upper part showing the largest strain, which we marked here with the red cycles here. The each shape recommends one piece of the film, and cutting half, one of the half was aged. And both of the upper parts of the film bears the largest strain, which is consistent with the reported in literatures. But after aging, the reference film, the distribution and the intensity show negligible change. For plasmonic incorporated film, the strain of the upper part decreased significantly, and the overall strain distribution is more homogeneous compared to the reference film, which is consistent with our design that we drip the plasmonic through anti-solvent dripping, that the plasmonic is distributed vertically and gradually distributed in the film, that the upper part of the crystals will experience extra heat from the plasmonic and compensate the thermal expansion difference and slow down the shrinkage from top to bottom. And consequently, the radiated heat from the plasmonic can help heal the strain in film and stabilize the crystal structure. Through the calculation of the mobile ion concentration, it can be concluded that the decreased strain in the film help inhibit the ion migration, and that is the reason for stabilized film and device stability. And this is agree well with our initial design for the whole experiment. And in the last, I would like to thank my supervisor, my group members, and all my collaborators and fundings. Thank you so much for your kind help and support. And that's all for my seminar. Thank you.